find quality people to lead this country is a problem. And the second statement, which is from Berson, it's from Klaus Schwab, the gentleman who founded the World Economy. He's talked about the fact that we've entered a global economy where talent and skill shortage challenge world economic and business growth around the world. So at the highest level, at the biggest stage, it is a problem. In your mom and pop shop, or even if you want a nanny, you want to hire a nanny to look after your child, finding the right nanny is a problem. We say the universities are churning out close to 3,000, 4,000 graduates a year, but we still have graduate unemployment. And yet, when we're trying to find people, it's very difficult. I used to work with a consulting firm, an HR consulting firm. This was sometime in 2000, 2002, 2005. And we used to run the Unilever graduate recruitment training. You all heard about how Chairman Yamson would go on radio and moan, and we thought he was making a big deal. But sometimes we'll go through and I was telling Gordon about 10,000 applicants. Those days we didn't have online, you go and do the test online. So we used to go and set up at Laboni Secondary School, and then we'll administer the aptitude test, and after that we have to mark. Gosh, it was tedious. And through all that, sometimes we don't get one person.
Wow.
Ooh. Yes.
After going through
all of that, we don't get one person. Because there are various levels, and we keep on, reading on what we think is uncomfortable. Exactly. And then we will maybe send a final set of, say, about 15, and they want to choose only 2 graduates, international graduates for that year. They don't get in. Imagine the resource, the cost of that. They don't get in. So there's graduate unemployment, but we're finding it difficult to hire people. So yes, there is a challenge. So I'm sure in your businesses, you might be facing things like that. So what I'm going to set out to do is to see how best, within the short time, help you to kind of recalibrate your mind in a certain direction in how you regard talent acquisition. So, any questions? Feel free to interject if you want. Okay, I don't want to wait till the end and make questions. Then people are now and you have to seem to ask an intelligent question. Don't worry. I'm really easygoing. So, I have a question for you. Before assuming Mr. Brown was very generous, he gave you $200 million to buy an expensive toy. I wish.
Let's make it 1 million.
Assuming we were going to buy a car, let's say a car, we wanted to buy a car. What are the sorts of things you think, questions you ask yourself to decide what sort of car to buy? Yeah?
Well, I've got a family in town, so whereas previously I'd be thinking, does it look nice? Is it cool, fast? Now I need to think of size and space and is it safe? Yeah, all that stuff. So I think it has had to shift. So at the moment, those are the sort of things.
So what's driving those questions?
My family.
Yeah, so what you're going to use it for, the news?
Yes.
Is what is driving the considerations? Yes.
I would think of fuel efficiency.
Fuel efficiency, yes.
Is it efficient?
Mm-hmm.
Will I spend so much money filling the
Exactly.
Robots are not
Robots. Thank you. If you come to where I insurance, all sorts of things, just to buy a car, which will start to depreciate right from the day you buy it. Whether brand new or used, if used, what's the mileage, and you sometimes tie yourself in knots. So, how much more if you're going to hire somebody who's going to work for you to generate value? Is it something we should just rush into? What are the questions we need to ask ourselves before make that decision. I need you to, I try to use these sorts of analogies to underscore the importance of this whole talent acquisition. I mean, back in the day, everybody thought anybody could do HR, so they could just get no, none of that. It's a rough and tumble world now. So, I thought I'd share this with you, the talent challenge. The first thing you need to remember is that people are the most important resource within a company. Like, you can get all the plant and equipment, the machines that you need. If you don't have smart people, take for instance, you don't have, you buy a machine and you hire, for lack of a better expression, so, and machines don't have emotions. People do. People are complex. People need to be managed differently. Even twins are not the same, And so, the human being is a very complex person, and it's so central to the business that you're doing. I could quote so many profound statements from people like Jack Welch. So enterprises. So you remember the state-owned enterprises, and then we gave them to people to manage. And now we've had to go into divestiture and sell them off. We sell them off, and then to smart people, and you see that they start becoming productive. It's all about the quality of the people who you put at the helm of affairs. And I want to, if you don't learn anything at all, if you don't remember anything at all, apart from my bald head, just remember that people are the most important resources within the company. So, but the question you ask is, how much time and resources do we really commit to this? Some people think that anybody look, send me some 1 or 2 CVs, let me look at, I'll talk to them, and then we'll hire. It's not a difficult thing. I know what I want. That's what a lot of people do, and especially for SMEs. I did a lot of consulting with companies of various sizes, and that's what I tended to find. That perhaps due to budgetary constraints, they want to cut corners to find people. And somebody said cheap things are always expensive.
It's true.
Yeah.
Because you end up having to go back to the drawing board and start it all over again. So anything worth doing is worth doing. Thank you. Right. Another point I want to make is the attraction and selection of talent. These days we talk about talent and resources. That's the got to build it. The attraction and selection of talent is one of the cornerstones of the HR strategy. Look, depending on the kind of business strategy that you've mapped out, that should inform the sort of people that you hire. You talked about, at first when you're younger, you wanted a flashy car, pretty clothes like that, I see you're falling out of like yeah, but now you're older and wiser, and your preferences have changed. I'll give you an example. When I was in the bank, we realized that there was a growth in Afro-Asian trade. The Chinese people now, they are selling pure water. There was a lot of trade flows between environment and the local culture. That's how it fits into the whole business strategy. So I embarked on a whole kind of It was an Africa-wide initiative to get Mandarin-speaking Africans. So I started having to look for Africans who are if you go and put somebody like you who speaks only Tete, and then you expect them to go and play, it will just not work. You will pay. What's the target market? What sort of person do you need who understands that market, who will be able to do business within that space? Those are, because I don't know your respective business, I'm just being very generic about it. But that's yes. Plan B, plan C, because plan A never works. Usually, you always have to go on your fallback plan. I'm sure in business, this is how you've planned it, and then maybe the Bank of Ghana comes up with a regulatory environment changes, and therefore your plans, it scatters your plans, or the value of the CD depreciates, so your budgeting is out of kilter. You have to have a backup plan. Yeah, so yes, and one other thing I started to do was this. After 2008, when the credit crunch hit, our wage bill was going up because of the expatriate cost. We were using a lot of expatriates, and in Ghana at that time, our quota with GIBC work permits and those sorts of things, there were restrictions on it. But we needed a certain caliber of staff, and we were not getting them. So when the credit crunch hit, I thought to myself, look, there are a lot of Ghanaians and Africans who are in those places who are now being laid off. They have the expatriation experience, they have the kind of mentality that we're looking for, they have the expertise, and if we should bring them here, it solves the work permit issue. Of course, then you have to package the reward in such that on a reducing balance method, so that model, so that the standard of living they are used to, kind of ease them into the Ghanaian space. So that was the approach we took. So you've got to be very strategic about selecting your people. I mean, it's more slides. So yeah, bottom line, I just put this little graph here. The quality of talent versus the attention and the investment in talent acquisition. I think some of the examples I've given you shows that you really have to invest, think very carefully about it. And I think that the more you pay attention to it, think it through, and put the right investment into it, the chances are that you will get the right fit, highly engaged staff, and a better return on your investment, both the human capital and other. But when you don't do that and you do a very quick sort of, as they say, referendum cover, just pick. Oh, do you know somebody? Snowballing in research methodology, we call it snowballing. Do you know somebody? Then you refer, do you know somebody? And then you just pick whatever you get. This is what you will have, a role mismatch most likely, because you are under pressure to fill a role, so you pick anything that comes. Maybe pricing is the restriction to the cheapest. What you get is somebody who come with you get the machine operator who's lazy and who skives around and who will break your machine. Low productivity. You get frustrated. You keep shouting and thinking, you're not finding the right person, and it will increase your cost because you have to go back again. So it's important that we pay a lot of attention to the people. It's like marriage. Really, you have to look at it like marriage. You guys just don't get up and these days are okay, of course, these days they contract it anyhow. But it's a life partnership. That's how you got to look at it. And that's how the Chinese look at it. They have the job for life thing. So their resourcing model is so tight. I mean, I was amazed, because once you get in there, you've got to stay. And so they have to be sure that the person they are bringing in is really the right person. You know, they are job for life. Oh, you've not heard of it in China and Japan? Because of the population, once you get hold of the job, hey, you've got to hold on to it. And there are all sorts of laws that protect the employer and the employee. So the employees are careful that before they bring somebody into that job, it has to be the right person. You know? So yeah, if anything at all, remember, people are the most important resource, and invest a lot of attention. Ask the right questions. Any questions so far? You can go on. Great. All right, I just thought I'd share, again, this is all about putting things into context. I just thought I'd share a few things with you, just to underscore the fact that people are now really investing billions into the whole talent acquisition piece. You know, I'll share that story later on. Look, there's been an increase. This is 2012 data. You know, the whole hiring, recruitment, talent acquisition is a $130 billion market. $130 billion.
Worldwide?
Globally, this is global figure. Look, in global multinationals, right? Of course, you have to fly people off to islands and have those sorts of. It's all part of the recruitment process. There are various assessment centers. He'll share his experience with you. I mean, I've had instances where, look, there was this guy, Nick Rose. He's an ex-British Army officer that I was working with. I mean, he's the guy I even recruited some of the Mandarin guys for him because he was dealing with FX and all that. And one of the things we decided to do was we were recruiting some people for the African market. And so at a point in time when we had shortlisted, we decided to take them to Victoria Falls area to go and do extreme sport, mountain climbing and so on. And just to see how when people are under pressure in an unfamiliar environment, how they react. Because it was crucial to the kind of role we were recruiting them for. Now that's expensive. You don't just get up and fly to Victoria Falls just for fun. But that's expensive. We have to do that to ensure that we will get a good return on that investment. Okay, these days it's no longer about it's not about that. Of course, we will set it in the context within the SME environment, the things that work for an SME business, the things that work for. But since we're thinking global, you've got to know what happens globally, so that when you get there, you know what to do. No, so yay. All right. So yeah, and you can see for manufacturing industries, that's the average spend per hire, and usually it will take about 55 days from start to finish. That's dedicated search, 55 days. So if you want something in 2 days, forget it. Half the time we want it within 2 days. We want the person like yesterday. When I was doing consulting, 9 out of 10 clients who came to me for a resourcing assignment wanted the person in like yesterday. So they are willing to buy you out of the clause. As soon as I find someone, they say, okay, let's pay off the notice period so the person can start. Because we always wait till we're in crisis mode before we start thinking about the people we need. But we need to plan for it. You get the point. Okay. Okay. Yes.
I'm surprised that the banking and insurance isn't higher up.
Right. Why? What surprises you about that?
I just assume that in finance,
Yeah.
you would spend some more and pay more than the others.
Yeah. Okay. I mean, look. Bear in mind that things have changed these days, and these days you could have a stockbroker sitting in one country trading stocks in another country and that sort of thing. So yeah, those sort of, but in manufacturing you've got to be there. The person has to be there. So sometimes it's market specific, or you have to fly the person in and that sort of thing. So that could possibly account for it. I haven't got the full details of the research, but this is just a snapshot to give you a sense of the fact that, well, it is expensive to find people. It is expensive. So if you come to me as a consultant and I give you a large bill, don't think that I'm fleecing you, alright? I'm just kidding. I'm sure I could do it for free for you.
Please, that was recorded, right?
I said I'm sure. I didn't say I will. I said I'm sure. No, but hey, look, feel free if you need some help. You can contact Surrounding, and I'm sure I can give you some help. So yeah, you have a business. What business do you do?
I'm into cosmetics.
Cosmetics. Okay. What's the size of your
Workforce.
Yeah, workforce?
6.
6. Great. That's nice and tight. So maybe you're looking to maybe say, let's assume that your turnover is 10 million. Because I'm being recorded, I have to show that I'm compliant. So maybe your turnover monthly is 10 million cedis. Hey, and you're projecting that you want to grow it by 50%, for instance. You've got to ask yourself, okay, what's the revenue per head count? Right? Those are things that are analytic. What's the revenue per head count? And so if you want to grow it by this, proportionally, how many people would you need to add to your team to achieve that? Sometimes it's not only about quantity, but more so about quality. So you have to sweat your assets. So if you have 5 people and they're generating 10, maybe if you push them harder, they will generate 20. But if you wanted 150, then you might have to add 2 or 3. That's how you've got to go. So before you start the journey of hiring people, for whatever reason, I think we've gone over the reasons. For whatever reason, there are certain things you need to consider. How many people are you looking for? And this is exactly what I was talking about. How do you determine that? How would you determine that? Do you need 4, 5, 1, 2, 3? How would you really determine that? I'm throwing that out to you. How do you think? Yes, if lipstick and all.
How do I determine it?
Yes. You need 5, 2, 3, because you can have overstaffing, and that's also a negative.
Actually, what I do is that in every path, I break it down in steps. Someone has to play this role, somebody has to play this role, this one has to play this role. So I look at how many people can do this, and how many people can do this. That's how I come to how to know how much workforce I need and how much I need to cut down.
Great. That's one. What you could also look at is your value chain, the whole production value chain. So this is how you source your raw materials, this is how you do this is how you do that, this is how you do that, and this is what you do. So for every block, you look at the kind of people who are doing, or the volume of work that is there, and then you try and break it out and say, okay, looking at the growth we want and forecasting that we need to increase our headcount by say just 3%. And then what's the cost of that increase? You look at the wage bill, so things like social security, you cost it. You cost it. And even the cost of finding those people, you put it in. So the very first question you've got to ask yourself is, how many people do you need? Why is it that we'll go through 10,000 people just because we want 2? Just because we want 2 people. Okay, why not 3? Why not 4? So that's a great, and if you get that wrong, you've missed it. Because it's going to come back to bite you. Okay. Sometimes what some people do is that they project some growth. So normally you are resourcing for growth. Okay, you're normally resourcing for growth. So you project the growth. And sometimes it's very tricky to get the right timing when to bring the person in, because you need to get all your ducks in a row before you bring the person in. Because the day the person starts, they start accruing costs. Right from day one, they are flying. From start to finish, when you can find somebody for them to start, so that you can build that lead time into around when you think you need the person. You get my point? So that's a way of playing it, but it's a very tricky one. Secondly, what levels of talent are you looking for? Are you looking for just out of school? Years experience. I don't go by that, and I'll explain why. Because people have different onto the wood. Now what happens is that with expansion and with heat, expansion and contraction, after a while is about what they have been able to achieve. How when you are asking your questions, those are things you have to be looking out for. How exposed the person has been, the experience. So many things. So it's a valid person are you looking for? Okay. I was sharing with Godwin on my way here how smart person. Somebody who could multitask, who in school was doing all sorts of things, had his finger. It made me, when I was in school, I remember I was selling silk blouses. I was doing everything and everything. That's how come my grades were low. Me, I didn't come to first class. I don't care. At least I've done something for myself in life. You get the point? So I don't want a bookworm to come and sit. I'm not suggesting that all first class students are. Yeah, I beg for you. Okay? But then that's what I was looking for. People who are street smart, who can think, who can ask the right questions, who can craft solutions, who can challenge the status quo, who challenge you and say, no, this thing you are doing, no. You know, because those are the things you do in your extracurricular life. They help build you up to do other things. But if your nose is always stuck in a book, where are you going to get that experience? Yeah. Okay, so you've got to ask yourself what the profile you want and whether it's available on the market. Or if you're looking for very specialized skills, maybe you won't find it here. You have to, but I'll share with for you that look, when I was in the company I used to work with, and we were looking to go into massive construction, worth billions of dollars. We realized that we wouldn't get that expertise in Ghana because of the time those buildings we put up here. So, where can we find the expertise to drive the project? We had to go to the Middle East because there, that was the construction. At a point in time, 40% of the world's cranes were all in Dubai alone. So if you want an apple, you go to the orchard to go and pick the best. You know. So I told my boss that Roland, let's go out there and go and find one. And we use a search firm. They would find very high level, fly people from Australia. Recently we flew somebody from Papua New Guinea. Yes, Papua New Guinea, to look at this Guinea family, because it's a big business in Papua New Guinea. Some Australian chap, we went to fish him out from Papua New Guinea, all the way down there, so it depends on what you're doing and whether that profile is available on the market. Those are the questions you have to answer. And then, the resources that you have. Sometimes you've got to look within. Can I find it in-house, or can I grow it in-house? It's always good to encourage people and promote from within and develop them. Throw them into the deep end and then do one or two things and let them try. You never know, they'll surprise you. Because sometimes if you keep on bringing from outside, you demotivate those who are inside. Again, like I said, keeping them, that's a different session. Let's book another appointment for that. And then your budget. Save the best for the last. Actually, this should come first and last. Usually, I don't like to put the budget ahead, because if you do that, it will restrict the way you look at it. I'd rather you go through this with an open mind, and then when you finish, you start to create money value on it. Then you start to catch a code. You start, when you want to buy a car, okay, let me see, I'll buy Rolls Royce, then you say, okay, then you start to calm down before you cut your coat according to your flaws. Alright, so before you really start the hiring journey, it's essential that at least, this is not exhaustive by no means, but at least take time to think through these things very, very carefully. Because how you start will reflect on how you finish. If you start from the middle by just hiring people, you have to go back. You remember the graph we looked at? You go back to the bottom. Any questions, any suggestions, contributions? Yes?
I think it's really helping me to see, the fact that you actually have to budget to look for somebody. I think what, I have known and, think, so I'm looking for somebody like you're saying, not understand that that's an aspect of the business that you have to invest in.
Yeah, you really have to invest. Because if you want to buy a new house, you put a budget to it. So the marginal cost
Something else.
brilliant. Plug and play. you know what level. Sit with them. Sort of
We
do this. What's the got to wrong. or you be there and all.
much, but has for day. Why
just so that I'm waste. Other organizations. Invest. Yes, is trying. Would do eager So depending on saying look, certain after I went and source one agency. That we had to go to, and they had and imagine someone accounting. So
One was to one person. So the same number of people were about 7 seated around the table. So we had 7 panelists behind us, and each of them was actually monitoring one person. Wasn't they were monitoring the whole group, they were monitoring one person. So you go in there, they have set some rules. Nobody should try to be a group leader. Hold on, rules. So you start talking. You don't know who should bring the ice. Everybody seated there after the 30 minutes, and now it's time for discussion. In my team, for example, the one who spoke first, I think that one helped me. Security. So this was the entire process. But there's some normally in the graduate program they don't accept people who've not done service before, and I was the first person to be accepted. And the reason was because while in school, I exposed myself to stuff like someone who's done a service personnel. You organize stuff, you raise money, so we're able to answer most of the scenario-based questions. Obviously, that's what most employers are looking out for. Just as I was saying, first class is good. I had first class. I almost became the one. When you say that, but I was saying that you need to add something more to what you do. Come to work and realize that the challenges you face are not book. They are not book challenges. So it just someone who is exposed to more is able to give you more, and someone just comes with brains and has learned practical.
Oh, thanks a lot. Thank you. I think I'm sure that struck you. Look at the whole process and the cost of that just to find one person. So if you really want to move your business to the second level, the next level, you've got to invest in finding the right people. You've got to invest in finding the right people. Seek professional help. Seek professional help. Don't think because you are the business owner, you know it all. You're good with what you do, but somebody's better at doing something else. Seek professional help.
Where will we find them?
Oh, I don't want to start marketing.
Outside HR or
Look, there's so many of them springing around. And
for startups, so
for startups, yeah.
I can afford.
Oh, trust me. He asked the question. Look, see, the thing is consulting is that customize, and there's price discrimination. So they customize the service to suit the client. So you may not be a big, of course, you think I'll charge you what, if Trasaco came to me to buy of course I'll charge them Trasaco price. So yes, it's the same way. Look, and again, you can use social media to find some of these and check their references, check their background, see if they've got their worth and salt. Because there are so many people parading themselves like consultants, they will give you hogwash. That's what also happens, that people decide that they'll do it themselves. And then that's double trouble.
Yeah.
Okay. So yeah, invest in yes. Please go ahead.
I'm a small SME. I'm just trying to start a great firm. But just going through everything, I so much agree with the fact that choosing the right person is very important.
Yeah.
But for me, in my own field, which is more of a construction, doing exterior design. Exterior design application, not just a design of application. Looking for the right people, or getting the right people, that means you have to start talking about getting more like the expertise. And I believe in, even for me, before I got to where I was, not that I acquired this in the university. I learned it right on the job. And I believe so much that you could also get and train. One of the things I decided to do is just to, when I moved out, was to start picking like my old guys that I had, I work with, just to pull them back as like a baseline and started training new people. Because the cost of hiring like the right caliber of people is a bit expensive for small SMEs. The only thing I'm thinking of is, maybe to expand to the global level. In the long run, that can be a future plan. But to start up, we need to have just to see where this to go.
True. Look, of course, you can't attract top dollar talent when you're starting, where the person's tax that he pays is more than your total. Okay, I'm not trying to belittle, but I mean, look, Bill Gates is wealth and is not acknowledged times how many times? So let's put things in context, right? But I said earlier on, okay, that sometimes you look for smart people and then you focus more on potential and then grow that potential. So that's the way you'll have to go about it. Okay, the question is, how do I identify potential? You have to define what it is you're looking for and see if you can see it in that person. It's a tricky one. Yes, there's an element of chance in there, I'll admit. But for some of us, we've done it so often that we're able to spot. It becomes part of it. That's why I'm saying seek professional help to help you decide. Look, you could be a one-person business. You want to grow. Yes, use your network. Use your network, and use that to try and find somebody who you can start with, who you can afford to grow. And I shared some leaflets out. What it is that once you hire somebody, you have to start planning to hire a replacement for that person. Because usually SMEs and startups have a high turnover churn rate because bright people are difficult to keep. And then they are not sure of the potential of the business to grow. They're also thinking, I want to get married, I need to buy a flashy car, will this help me? So those are the questions. So once you hire them, you have to start planning for a replacement, but work on keeping them. It's not simple, but if you are able to push your mind towards that and try and do it, chances are that you will succeed. And I'll give you an example. Look, when I was in school, I was selling transport. Okay, so we organized buses for people to go beach trip and things like that, and pockets on commission, And there was this lady I met while doing volunteer work at Vibe FM. And that's how come the whole transport selling thing started. And before I had finished university, she had offered me a job. In fact, I think I had about 2 or 3 offers before I completed. So I went in to start with her as a business development. And by the time I was leaving, within 2 years, I was a general manager. And this was Pella Transport. Okay. Now, at a point in time, she gave me a Cherokee to drive. Come on. Those days. And the thing she actually wanted to sponsor me to go and do a master's in transport management, but I had different ideas. The thing is that because she couldn't afford a certain kind of and when I was there, I hired somebody for her to come and start as an administrator. I think the lady is currently, Carol Reza, Nanny's cousin. Yeah. She stayed with her for about 7 to 8 years. Okay. This is somebody we hired to come in as an administrator and groomed her, and she became a manager at the company. So there are people like that. And the trick is to find people like that. But once you hire, start thinking of a replacement because the turnover, it'll blow your mind. When they leave, don't be attached to it. People will come and they'll leave. They'll come and my wife, when we get a house help and the person will fire. Oh, I said, relax. We'll hire on fire. Relax. So the things you've got to ask yourself, can the person do the job? Based on the role profile that you have and the exposure of the person, you think they can do the job that you want them to? Now, they can do it, but will they really do it? Maybe the person's motivation is, okay, after a year I want to go back to go and do my master's. Half the time they come there, their mind is on something that they will not be staying. Okay? Or you've realized that, okay, the person is smart, but then the chemistry is not there. Or the kind of environment you want to craft for yourself. The person's values don't match with yours. So it's possible that they will not do the job. These are simple checks for you to refine to get it right. And then finally, I think this is the final slide. Once you've identified a pool of people that you think are good for you to help you to turbocharge your business to be the next biggest thing that everybody will be talking about. And I have a feeling that yes, maybe after I should get all of you autographs. Hey, I know this person! You know? Alright. The way you ask questions. Sometimes you go to, you interview somebody, you talk to the person, and after that you're not quite sure whether the person really can do the job because of the way or the type of questions you were asking. Okay? So there's a simple model that I want to share with you to help you in how to ask the questions. And you remember Godwin talked about assessment simulation, situational, simulation, situation. Because life is, the reality of life is that when you are faced with a situation, what would you do? So that's what you need to be testing, not whether or not they knew how to do divide the x minus 3 or whatever it was. You know, the situation, how are they going to solve the problem? So when you're asking questions, tell me about a time where you were faced with this. What did you do? Try to get behind their thought process, why they took those decisions. That helps you to tell whether or not this person is a critical thinker, they think in a logical, sequential way. If this, then that. If I do this, then this is likely to be the outcome. Then you're getting somebody who you want. Okay, so it's possible that with a small budget, you can still find a smart person who will do wonderful things. And we did something for a business like that. Because I'm on this thing, I can't mention names of clients for obvious reasons. But this client was into refrigeration systems. So we got him somebody from Tech, a young man. He ended up flying the guy to Sweden because I think he got he had a donor funding. This is got capacity building, you know. But yes, and got somebody like that, flew the person to Sweden. You think the guy will stay with him, young man out of tech, and then you bought him for life, you know. So it depends on the type of, you know. Ask when you're asking the question, create a situation or listen for the situation that they are talking about, because people can talk. Sometimes you realize that the talk at the end of the day, they've not said anything. Somebody said, when all is said and done, everything is said, nothing is done. All right. And then you ask a situation, what was the task? What was really the task at hand? What was the problem? What did you have to solve? What was it that you were supposed to solve? Okay. And what actions did you take? What did you do? You can ask this in various forms. What action did you take and what were the results? At the end of the day, you are hiring the person because they are producing results, not because they came wearing a nice suit and tie and they came and told you, said nice English. It's all grammar. So you can use the STAR model to find a STAR resource. Okay? The situation, the task, the action, the results. And when you are listening as well, listen with this in mind. Listen for those things. And that should help you to pick the right person that you can groom, the person with the right potential and attitude that you can groom. So I think on that note, finally, after you've gone through that, you've decided whether they can do it, whether they will do it well or stay, you've got to ask yourself, are they worth the reward package, what you're going to pay them? Because they can get the right person, but they may not be worth the money that you are going to give to them. You may either be overpriced or you may be underpriced, whichever way it is. But the chemistry has to be there. You're going to work with this person, you're going to like them. Or at least you should be able to tolerate them. If they are obnoxious and say every day when you are coming to work, you know, and you're coming at the heart, it's not there. Please strike, especially for an SME, because the frequency of interaction with this person is high. But if it's in a large multinational, you know, because of there's so many different interactions in there, it's going to be low. But once you're going to work with them in an SME, the chemistry has to be there. But don't take chemistry and sacrifice quality. Because there's some people you strike a great rapport with, you will like them, but they're rubbish, really. And you've got to face it. You've got to be able to see through that. Do the reference check, please. People tell lies, and we find it all the time. People lie on their CVs and all those things, and then they come and give you a good picture, they come in and they start filtering your box and all of those things. Do the reference check, and then background checks are necessary. Again, you talked about recruitment firms. Check out the recruitment firms. Ask them, have they done assignments for so and so? Check to find out what the experience was. It's very important. At least have that comfort before you then make the offer. And chances are that once you've made the offer, after you call me, I'll show you how to keep it. I'm just kidding. All right. So on that note, I don't know if I've exhausted the issues, but it's a very broad topic. I've tried my best, and I've enjoyed this interaction. Just feel free to call me anytime, and I'll be there to help you. I gave out some handouts. It has little tips and tricks on it, that things that you should consider. Sometimes people post wanted, this, that. What sort of people would you attract when you do that? All those things. So make sure you just pick up and read through it. So on that note, thanks a lot. Any questions? I'm more than happy. Yes, Pinky. Today I've named you Pinky officially. When we go out, you can give me a real name.
Okay, my name is Ikia.
Hey, Kia, okay, Pinky is over. Yes, Kia.
Yes, I just wanted to know something. I make cakes and chocolates, and most of the time I work with people that are kind of more educated than. And sometimes people don't know things about client satisfaction.
Yeah.
So one thing I want to know is sometimes you ask them to do this, but they don't do what you want them to do. So you end up doing it yourself because you want to satisfy the client.
Yeah.
So what I want to know is, can people's attitude change over time, or does it come with training? Like, should I invest more in training them or grooming them, training them?
There's a model I can't show the attitude, values, belief. Okay, so your values and your belief drives your attitude. We don't want to, so if you want to change the attitude, you attack one of those. That's one area. But you see, the thing is this: you said you tell them what it is you want them to do. They don't do it. For people like that, you always need to give them a reason why. So they identify with the reason and then they'll do it. But if you just tell them, they see it as orders. So I like to use analogies. So why you say you are talking about customer care, but you're putting it in you're packaging it in a certain way that relates to them. And once it relates to them, they buy into it. Chances are that they'll do it when you tell them. But if you just order them to do it and they don't understand why they should do it, boss, you get exactly what it is you're getting. Look, when I was at the transport company, I was the youngest management staff, and I'm working with mechanics and drivers, and they don't understand anything. But I had to try and reach out to them to let them know that, look, when you're driving people, so we're doing school busing projects, so we're taking people's kids to school and bringing them back and so on and so forth. And the parents will always complain. Those days, I remember I went to get Starcom, Movitel. Those days, it was Starcom. I told my boss, let's find one. It was expensive, but we invested in it so that parents could call in to find out where the bus is and things like that. And it was innovative. So when that happened, more parents started bringing their children. Of course, we'll bring them. The point I'm getting at here is this: the drivers didn't understand why they had to be courteous and gentle with children, because for them, they have to do the round quick, and then come and park the bus and go and start their second job. You see? So I had to try and give analogies for them to appreciate that, look, when we do this, so have you seen that the number of children on the routes are increasing? Okay, when we do this, the parents get happy, and that's how come they bring more children, and then we'll be able to increase. Okay, but if we do it, then we don't get, we'll still have to fuel the bus, and then we can't. Then when they realize that is going to hit their bottom line, the attitude changed. You see, so it's how you package the message to them. It can be very frustrating because some of them, there are some people you have to, there's sell, tell, and that sort of thing. I don't want to go into that. Some people you have to just tell them. Other people you have to sell the concept and then tell them how to do it. Yeah. I hope that answers your question.
Yeah, it does. Thank you.
Any? Yes. Okay. I guess it looks like we have a very satisfied team of people, and that makes me happy.